Still disappointed over the socks your mother-in-law got you for Christmas? Still have this feeling that you deserve to get a more unique present? Well, let me show you what you should give yourself. A high-end French luxury gin. The gin that Louis Vuitton, Hermès or Givenchy would make if they did a gin. Let's get you what you really deserve. Hi guys, and welcome to High on Gin, and a happy new year to all of you. I thought we might as well start the new year on a high note, take a closer look at something truly unique. So I have chosen a gin that is unique in the taste, in its design, and not least in its production method. Say bonjour to Comte De Grasse, 44 degrees north. The distillery is located in the city of Grasse. This town is located at an altitude of 333 meters in the Alpes-Maritimes in the beautiful and lush area overlooking the Mediterranean, just 20 kilometers from Cannes and the French Riviera. The name 44 degrees north is the geographic coordinates for the town of Grasse. And Grasse is France's perfume center with the production of perfume extracts and essences. At the end of 2018, Grasse was actually added to the UNESCO World Heritage List for its unique perfume making techniques, which has been used for centuries. And you see, it is exactly the unique and skillful use of different distillation methods that made Bagat Reddy, the distillery's CEO and founder, choose Grasse for his gin project that started, I think, around 2017. You see, he wanted to make his dream come true, to establish and run a high-end distillery. But getting the necessary permission to build and run a distillery in his own country, India, is a very, very cumbersome task. So he had to look outside India for a suitable location, and Grasse was his obvious choice. The perfume makers of Grasse have used not only small copper pot stills to distill and extract flavors, but also much more complicated and advanced techniques and get new and finer and even more fragrant notes out of their botanicals. Bagat got in touch with the lab at the University of Nice that is very close by, and he realized that this spirit business and the perfume business, they have so many similarities, but at the same time, they have a lot to learn from each other. And one of the things that he discovered was the advanced technological use in the perfume industry in order to be able to extract and distill better, using less energy in a more efficient way. And here we are talking about, unusual distillation methods like vacuum distillation, CO2 extraction, and ultrasonic maceration. The cooperation with the professors at the university was so fruitful that he actually decided to hire one of the professors, Marianne Contamin, to be their master distiller. But let's take a closer look at these more advanced and unique distillation techniques that they use at Comte De Grasse. The use of vacuum distillation is, it's something that we sometimes see in the gin business today. Gins like Oxley or the Danish distillery Origin Copenhagen or French Eau de Mue and the English Sacred Gins are some examples of using a vacuum distillation. Here, spirits is distilled with the botanicals under vacuum and thereby reducing the temperature at which ethanol alcohol boils. The stronger the vacuum is, the lower the boiling point or the boiling temperature is. And it's especially the fine floral notes that are often lost in the more traditional and brutal boiling process when you use a traditional pot still. But by using vacuum and lowering the boiling temperature, you suddenly have a new and more delicate range of delicate taste notes that you can actually add to your gin. And then adding CO2 extraction to the process. That is rarely seen. I only know very few distilleries that uses both vacuum and CO2 extraction. It's distilleries like Moreland Spirit Company that produces Heppel gin. And then I'm not sure, but I think also the Lone Wolf Distillery is using those two techniques as well. You see, CO2 or carbon dioxide, well, it's a gas or it's air, you know. And when you put CO2 under extreme pressure, more than 1,000 psi, the gas actually becomes a liquid, also known as supercritical CO2. As a comparison, the air pressure in a car tire is around 30 psi, so we're talking substantial pressure here, 300 times more than in a car tire. And then when we can transform a gas into a liquid, we can use that liquid to extract flavors out of things. And this exact method gives you the purest extractions. Increase the pressure beyond 1,000 psi, say 4,000 psi, you dramatically improve the efficiency of the extraction. At the Comte De Grasse, it is botanicals like the jasmine that is treated this way. Not only does this method give total control over the extraction process and increases the yield, the method is also more environmentally friendly compared to other techniques. But then adding a third method in the process of making gin, to use ultrasonic maceration in the combination with the vacuum distillation and the CO2 extraction. Well, I haven't seen that one before. I don't even think nobody else is doing that. In this process, you take your base alcohol and the selected botanicals and then you expose it to ultrasonic frequency. This creates a process called cavitation that makes tiny small bubbles, and it is these tiny small bubbles that really extracts the flavors from the botanicals. Not only is the quality of the extraction much higher, the process is also much faster. Well, what would take 2 to 3 weeks of traditional maceration can now be done in under an hour. And Comte De Grasse uses all three cutting-edge technology of distilling methods, together with also age-old extraction techniques like steeping rose petals and creating this aromatic rose water or rose hydrolat that is also used in the gin here. And a fair question would of course be, why use so many different distillation techniques? Because some of these techniques are not cheap techniques. On the contrary, well, it is because this project here is all about perfection. Different botanicals benefits from different processes. As an example, the distillery's extensive test showed that it was only 13 of the 20 botanicals used in the gin here that really benefited from the ultrasonic maceration process. Tons of tests were conducted and many more advanced techniques were used to help them understand each botanical and the interaction between them. It's techniques like the use of a gas-chromatograph to perfect the distillation process, to find the ideal temperature and find the best suited distillation method for each botanical in the gin. The non-official list of botanical contains botanicals like the Mediterranean Cade juniper, it contains rose petals, it contains lavender, honey, jasmine, the bright yellow flowers from the mimosa tree that you find all over Grasse, samphire, lemon verbena, the local bigarade or bitter orange, the grapefruit, the minty leaves from the patchouli, and Szechuan pepper. All of them selected to capture and recreate the essence of Grasse and its terroir, this bright light and floral and herbaceous notes that you can almost feel when you're in the area. And as they say at the distillery, if light were a flavor and illumination a scent, this is what it would taste like. So, let's try it out. In the nose. The first thing you get is this very fine and delicate, bright citrus notes from the lemon verbena and the grapefruits. And very typically, when you use vacuum distillation with a much lower boiling point, you get these more, well, you can say crystal clear citrus notes. But when you smell it again and again, you really discover these tinkling smell of the rose petals and the jasmine. And you sense this slightly herbaceous and musky base underneath it all. Wow. And when we taste it, boom, here comes the floral parade. The rose centifolia or Provence rose that they use in this gin here, together with the lavender and the fragrant and slightly sweet jasmine, combines with the honey. Wow, so present. And the orange notes are there. And this peppery spiciness that creates this tinkling feeling and heat in your mouth. What a gin. You know, you should really, when you try this gin here, you should smell it and taste it again and again, because after each smell and after each sip, you get a new experience. Your senses have to really adapt to all these impressions. It's like there's so many layers in this gin, and you really can't compute it all in just one sip or one smell. If you insist on making a gin and tonic with this one, I do believe that you should go with an Indian tonic that is not too bitter, not too overpowering. Maybe a Franklin & Sons Indian tonic would be suitable for this one here. I really think that you could make a killer martini with this gin here and get its floral character into play in a very fun way. Or if you're a bit more brutal, you could go with a Negroni with this one here. But honestly, so far I've only had it neat. And I enjoyed immensely in this simple but yet magical form. Magical. That's the word for this gin here. And if you look at the design of the bottle and the box here, wow. It is simply clear to see that the baguette knows a thing or two about design, and that he has been working with luxury brands like Chanel or Rolex in his previous works. The total package here, it simply just screams luxury. The color and the design of the bottle is a clear reference to the ocean, and the yellow top here is of course a clear reference to the Mediterranean sun. It is just as cool a design as the gin is good, and as the techniques are used here are overwhelming. It is perfection, and it's a gin that I really think that you should have on your wish list. Or give yourself if Santa Claus or your mother-in-law didn't get it for you this year. I treated myself with this bottle at the Danish website ginbutikken.dk, and I really think that you should treat yourself too. Until next time, au revoir.